Analysis here. Xakke, I don't know how you say it. Xakke, um, messaged me on YouTube and asked if I would take a look at this video. Quality's not great. It only goes up to 480p, but should still be able to still should be able to get a pretty good look at things here, and we'll see what happens. I probably won't watch the whole thing, I can tell you right away, because it's like 35 minutes long. I'll probably only watch like the first 10 minutes or so, just because most of the time games that are prolonged, especially games that are prolonged against players who might not be as good as you, are probably like either lost or goofed up quite a bit in the first early bit. So it's a 2v2, which is like also kind of hard to analyze, but I'll do my best to just point out some general things. That hunt, I'm sure your scouting pattern's a little awkward. There's definitely going to be probably a hunt closer than that, and you should also always be using the wood behind your TC. You should never use wood out front of your TC if you can avoid it. And there's I think I can see a patch just off to the left and behind your TC, so I would try to use that if possible. Yeah, there is. So I would use that if possible, especially on equal footing where the rush positions, like in a 2v2, are really close to each other. You definitely don't want to be out front. Your ally is Persian, you're against Celt and Egypt, so you're probably going to end up being okay, because those are two like pretty bad civs for playing aggressive with. But yeah, there's a closer hunt, so like that hunt you could have definitely used early on, which would have been a lot closer and stuff. So like when I search around my base, I like do a pretty small circle actually around to find the initial hunt. That's a really a really aggressive barracks. I would not probably put a barracks that close, because that's like pretty ballsy putting a military building out front of your base that far. So yeah, pretty good so far. Nothing really that big. You should always put those cows close to villagers, because buildings for some reason can't hold animals in this game. So you should, yep, you should always put them. You should always put them next to villagers, or next to somewhere that there's a villager close by, so that you can hold possession of them. You shouldn't be gathering that cow that far away from that storehouse either. Like, yeah, you've got it, but like it's really inefficient, and cows don't gather that fast anyway. So like, yeah, it's okay that you slowed him and got that cow back, but that cow's really not that anything special for you, so you shouldn't really be gathering on that. Your gold mine should already be coming up. You're not building on your gold mine yet, which is kind of a mistake. You should always be building on your gold mine almost as soon as you click to age up, so you should be definitely having one villager making a storehouse on your gold mine. They're kind of trickling right now, which is a mistake by them, which is good for you. Archery range, good. You still don't have a gold mine. That's going to come back and bite you in the ass. You have enough resources. I'm going to pause right here. I see a lot of people do this wrong. You have enough resources right now. You've got a villager queued up, so you're not like in danger of like missing queue on villager. You've got like, it looks like 157 or something like that food, so you can queue up another spearman, and you have enough resources to queue up the first wood gathering tech. A lot of people like, my guess is when I resume this video that you're going to queue up like 2 spearmen, and then if you were to look back at this, you'd say I don't have enough resources to get the first wood tech because I'm like at 60 some odd thing, and so you're gonna like continually make this mistake. You want to like only queue up one spearman and then get the wood gathering upgrade. So there's one spearman. You didn't queue up two. So see here, you still have enough to make the wood gathering upgrade. So you should definitely be getting that. You should be making Hippospis when you get to age 2. Yeah, good. I think you could have made Hippospis 1 earlier, just to help that early spear harass, but nothing too big. So far, so good. Still no gold. That's gonna bite you in the ass at some point. Yeah, it's like right now. Like right now, you've dinged 0 on gold. Yeah, and see, like now you've. Yeah, that's gonna be like an oh shit moment. You're not really gonna know what to do. All unit production effectively halts because you didn't have that. Yep, you've got gold upgrading. Good. You still shouldn't be gathering from that cow because that's just inefficient. You're kind of having an oh shit moment because like you don't have any gold and so you can't like queue up archers. This is where it would be good, like here I'm going to pause it here again. This is where it would be good to have your economy centralized behind your base, because if you're behind your base and the same situation happened and you still had that same oh shit moment, I don't have gold, and you still made that same exact mistake, at least everything would be behind your town center. You could have your barracks and your archer range like in range of your town center, but now here everything's like way out front. Your town center's way in the back, and like this is free raids and stuff. So like these kinds of all of this, like this structure, the archer range probably is in town center range. These storehouses, these cows, these villagers out here, all this stuff out here that's pretty much on the screen right now is all vulnerable, and there's no reason that that really needs to be vulnerable, especially when the rush distance is so close on the 2v2 map like this. And as the person is out front in the 2v2, a lot of times you're going to be in this position. And so in this map, on other maps it's not necessarily true, but in general you want to keep your buildings like semi-defensive. Like even in a 1v1 like this distance between your barracks and your town center, like you can't even see the town center. It's like way back here. Like this is your starting stone mine, and it's back further behind that. And that's like really far out and like spread out. You want to try and like centralize stuff more. Like your hunting is out here, your town center is out here, your gold mine's like back here a little somewhere, your woods here, your barracks is here. Like all of this is like so spread out, and like these guys, if they were even better than they were, they would have like so many points to hit that they could like touch and raid all over the place, and you like game would be over effectively if these guys like hit all these areas like well. But luckily they haven't found your hunting spot yet, and they're so obsessed with like trying to kill this barracks for some reason that it looks like you'll probably end up holding. But yeah, definitely don't forget the gold like next time, because that really does suck. Your partner comes and holds, helps you hold, which is good. Does that villager die? Maybe. Nope. Get it in the town center. Oh, no, it's fine. Alright, so here you're like still like spread out. You've got like no sense of a building wall whatsoever, which even in a 2v2, probably especially in a 2v2, makes it even more important. You want to centralize stuff. So like this is just all like helter-skelter randomly around the map. You want to try and have some sort of sense of a defensive like structure to the way your buildings are laid out, which there is none of right now. And there's another, like, that building there, that's just, it doesn't do anything for you. Like, there's no sense of just defensive structure. These villagers here are gathering pretty efficiently. Like, I don't know if you retasked them there after a raid, or if they were over here and they got raided and they got tasked over here. But, like, little things like this, if you can notice those while you're playing and fix them, like, that will definitely help you, because this travel time is pretty inefficient. Every time that you have to do that walking distance definitely hurts your economy. More stuff just randomly out front of your base that doesn't need to be there. You're not making villagers right now. You're typing. I can't see what you're typing. Still haven't been making villagers. You're queuing up all sorts of military. There you go. Want to try and avoid doing that as much as possible. It's not too bad to have a little bit queued up because stuff trains so fast in this game that it's okay to queue up like 1 or 2 extra at a time, because sometimes you've got the resources to do it. Resources gather fast, units train fast. There's just no reason not to. But like, you want to avoid like doing it as an oh shit type thing. Like there, it's like you realized you hadn't been training villagers for a little bit, and so you like kind of just oh shit and quick hit VVV or whatever you have your villager hotkey set to. And now nothing's training. You want to kind of, you really definitely want to stay on top of training units this early in the game. Like you've got a lot of stockpiling resources, and your economy's really not that strong. So pretty much means you're just not training units whenever you're available. You look at your ally; he's got a pretty good army going right now. So yeah, you want to make sure you're always training units. That storehouse isn't very efficient. Make sure you leave like the little bit of gap in between your gold storehouse. Still no real rhyme or reason to this. Maybe this will end up being some sort of rhyme or reason to that, but right now it doesn't feel like there is. I think you lost your scout at some point. I can see he's got his scout alive. One of the enemies does. You definitely want to try and keep your scout alive as long as you can, because when you lose your scout, you lose your vision. You lose your ability to like have a huge line of sight unit standing off to the side and like seeing raids coming and stuff. So trying to keep him alive. So far, so good. This is like a really minor thing, but if I don't really like Greek going with a stable in this matchup. If either one of you is going to go stable, Persian should probably go stable, just because his units are better. Like in the composition, Greek really should stick to in this composition. I think Greek should just make Hipposphere Tox, and Persian can make probably mostly Cav. They can go like Cav Spara or something like that. Here you guys are kind of caught with your pants down. They like push in, and your opponent's like back here defending a raid, and you just kind of like fight without him here. You're gonna lose like a lot of units here, and this is kind of twofold. One is because notice how still everything is out front of your base, which is kind of symptomatic of your early game and just having everything out front of your base. So everything's still out in front of your base. I mean, you can't really just like, you can't really go back, because if you go back, you're going to lose like all of these houses. Where if these houses were like back further and in range of your town center, you wouldn't really have to worry about losing houses. But if you go back, like you lose like production houses, villagers, like where your economy's set up, stuff like that. So you can't really go back, but then they force you out of position when his army's not here. Like normally, I would say keep your army back and make sure that your opponent's with you before you attack, so that you attack with your combined forces. But in this position, like, I guess I kind of somewhat agree to the fact that you have to like kind of fight here, because if you don't, then you just die. And there they go. And like, these guys aren't really playing very well together either, because they're not coordinating overly well. Coordination honestly wins you most 2v2s. Like, coordination's pretty much everything. I'm tired. Just compositionally, your teammates got like far too many bowmen. Barbara like are gonna win you this matchup. Like if he had even just like half the bowmen but double the Sparbara, you would have like so much better of a time. Just your economy's a little out of balance. Your teamwork is like kind of you guys just aren't really together. He's trickling in units. You've got far too many bowmen between the two of you. You need more of a tank line out front against these two civs. These two civs both have a really hard time clearing tank lines just because they don't have archer type units. And so you probably just need fewer archer type units and more of a tank line. Notice how you've both got just like a huge ball of archers, and not really much of a tank line. But you're getting up a bunch of stables. One thing that worries me is you've got a whole bunch of stables coming up, but you're like not really gathering much food at all. Your economy just kind of seems out of whack. You're getting popped. It looks like, I can't really tell if that's 80 out of 80 or 80 out of 90 or what that is. It looks like it's 80 out of 80. And you definitely don't have the food economy to support that. So, yeah. I'm going to kind of stop watching here because I think I've already gone on for like, I don't know, 10, probably 15 minutes or so. That should give you something to think about, really. I mean, these guys they're okay. They don't look like they're too bad, but they're nothing special. So just brief bullet points. Centralize your early economy. Keep your stuff behind your town center as much as possible. Fix some of the little macro things, like with your gold mine being inefficient. Always be training units. Always be training villagers. And mostly, like, this game just feels like mostly it's just like your lack of positioning with your buildings and having everything be out front just makes everything seem so much like pressured when it doesn't have to be. It feels like you're just like out of position when you definitely don't have to be. So just kind of think of those kinds of things. If you want me to look at another one, I can. I'd prefer it to be a 1v1 because it's easier to like zero in on actual player weaknesses when it's a 1v1, whereas in 2v2, 2v2s can be a lot of like compositional things that are like kind of awkward and don't necessarily always 2v2 isn't a very accurate indicator of how you are actually playing as a player, I guess, if that makes any sense. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully you can learn something from it, and if you have any questions, let me know.